The envelope was heavier than it should have been. Sarita Rao stood in the narrow kitchen of her two-room flat in Andheri East, Mumbai, holding the cream-colored paper that smelled faintly of old money and new endings. 50 years old today. The return address read R.K. Desai and Sons, Advocates and Notaries. She already knew what it said. Her husband of 28 years, Vivek, had died 3 months ago in a taxi accident on the way to the airport, and only now had the lawyers finished counting what little he had left. She slit the envelope with a steel knife still wet from washing the morning's steel tiffin box. Inside, a bank draft for 11 lakh rupees, the proceeds from the sale of their old scooter, some mutual funds, and the 1 BHK flat in Borivali that Vivek had bought in 1998, and never told her about. There was also a single line in the lawyer's covering letter that made her knees buckle. The deceased has bequeathed the flat to his companion Ms. Neha Malhotra. Companion. The word tasted like rust. Sarita sat down hard on the plastic chair, the one with the cracked Rexine seat. 50 years old, widowed, and just discovered that for the last 8 of those years her husband had kept an entire second life 10 subway stops away. The neighbor's pressure cooker whistled 3 times, then fell silent. Somewhere a child practiced saxophone, 3 wrong notes in a row, always the same 3. Normal life, going on without her. She looked at her hands. Housewife hands. Mehendi scars from her son's wedding still faint green on the fingertips. She had never worked outside the home. Never learned to drive. Never had a bank account in her own name. Vivek used to joke that she was allergic to forms. She had laughed along. Now the joke was on her. She folded the letter once, twice, until it was a small hard square, and put it in the pocket of her faded maroon nightie. Then she did something she had never done in 28 years of marriage. She opened Vivek's Godra Almira, the one with the stuck left door he always kicked to close, and took out the locked leather suitcase he had told her never to touch. The key was still on his old keyring, the one shaped like a cricket bat. She had kept it, because throwing it away felt like bad luck. Click. Inside, 2 passports, one hers, expired in 2012, a folder of property papers, and an American visa pasted in a crisp new passport in the name of Neha Malhotra, valid for 10 years. There was also an envelope with $20,000 in $100 bills and a printout of a confirmed Emirates ticket, Mumbai, Dubai, New York JFK, departure the 18th of November, seat 7A. The date was 3 days from now. Sarita stared at the ticket. Neha Malhotra was clearly planning to leave the country with whatever money she thought was hers. The flat was already transferred. The dollars were meant to start a new life. Sarita closed the suitcase. She did not cry. Something colder and brighter was rising in her chest. She showered, put on her best silk saree, the navy blue one with the thin gold border she had worn to her son Rohan's convocation, and took an Uber to the Borivali flat she now legally owned, but had never seen. The watchman saluted when she showed him the sale deed. Madam, Neha Madam has not come for many days. Sarita climbed the 3 floors. The nameplate still read V. Rao Blackheart N. Malhotra in curly pink letters. She rang the bell twice. No answer. She used the spare key the lawyer had sent. The flat smelled of attar and betrayal. There were photographs everywhere. Vivek laughing on a beach in Goa, Vivek cutting a cake with a woman half his age, Vivek asleep on a sofa with that same woman curled against him like a cat. Sarita walked through the rooms, as if in a museum of her own demolition. In the bedroom, she found a half-packed suitcase and a note in Neha's handwriting. Darling, I'll meet you at the airport. Don't be late. Our new life starts now. Sarita sat on the edge of the bed that was not hers and looked at the suitcase. Then she did something no one who knew quiet, dutiful Sarita Rao would ever have predicted. She unpacked Neha's clothes, folded them neatly, and put them back in the cupboard. She took the $20,000, the 2 passports, the Emirates printout, and the American visa. She locked the flat, dropped the key in her purse, and went home. Chapter 2. 3 days later, on the 18th of November, Sarita Rao, wearing a cream-colored salwar kameez and a brand-new U.S. passport in the name of Neha Malhotra, boarded Emirates flight EK502 to New York. She was trembling so hard the air hostess asked if she needed medical assistance. Sarita smiled the sweetest smile in the world and said, "No beta, just first time flying alone." She took seat 7A, the window seat that had been booked for the other woman. As the plane lifted over the Arabian Sea, she pressed her forehead to the cold glass and whispered, "Happy birthday to me." She landed at JFK 22 hours later with 1 suitcase, $20,000 in cash, and no plan except the address on the visa petition, a place called Elmhurst, Queens. The immigration officer looked at the passport, looked at her, looked back at the passport. Purpose of visit, Ms. Malhotra. Starting over, Sarita said, and the officer laughed and stamped her in. Chapter 3. Elmhurst in November is grey and smells of roasted chestnuts and wet leaves. Sarita found the apartment listed on the visa form, a tiny 1-bedroom on 45th Avenue, sublet by someone named Priya Sharma, who had gone back to India for 6 months. Rent paid till April. Perfect. She bought a winter coat from a thrift store, bright red, like a heroine's, and a prepaid phone. Then she sat on the radiator with a cup of chai made from masala she had carried in her suitcase and made a list. Learn English properly, she could manage, but not fluently. Find a job. Never, ever let anyone make her feel small again. She started with the easiest, a job. 2 blocks away was a beauty salon called Beauty Bazaar, run by a Bangladeshi woman named Rahana, who needed someone to sweep, answer phones, and make tea. Pay, $12 an hour, cash. Sarita walked in, smiled, and said, "I can do threading better than anyone you have ever met." Rahana raised an eyebrow. "Show me." Sarita threaded Rahana's brows in 4 minutes flat, perfect arches. Rahana hired her on the spot for $15 an hour and free lunch. Within a month Sarita was the most requested threader in Elmhurst. Bangladeshis, Indians, Tibetans, Colombians, everyone wanted the Indian auntie with the gentle hands and the wicked precision. She saved every dollar. She ate 1 meal a day from the salon. Always someone's mother sent extra biryani. She walked everywhere because the subway still terrified her. At night she watched YouTube on the salon's old laptop after closing, English lessons, makeup tutorials, American accent training. She practiced in the mirror until "How are you?" stopped sounding like "How are you?" Chapter 4 Inches February, 6 months after arriving, she had saved $9,000 and decided it was time. She enrolled in a 6-month cosmetology course at Queens College Night School. Loans terrified her, so she paid cash, semester by semester. The teacher, a fierce Dominican woman named Marisol, took one look at Sarita's threading and said, "Mummy, you already know half my curriculum. Why are you here?" Sarita answered, "Because I want my name on the license, not someone else's." Marisol nodded like she understood everything. Sarita studied like her life depended on it, because it did. She graduated top of her class at 51, license in hand. Sarita Rao, licensed esthetician, New York State. She rented a tiny booth inside Beauty Bazaar, $300 a month, and put up a sign in 3 languages, "Perfect Indian threading," and "Henna Auntie's magic hands." Within weeks, she had a line out the door. Brides from Long Island drove in for her bridal mehendi. TikTok girls begged for appointments. She raised her prices. She hired 2 Nepali girls to help. By the end of the second year, she had $30,000 in the bank and a new name in the neighborhood, Brow Auntie. Chapter 5. One Thursday in April, a man walked into the salon wearing a navy pea coat and the saddest eyes Sarita had ever seen. He was tall, salt and pepper hair, maybe 55. Indian, but American accented. "I'm looking for Sarita," he said. "That's me," she answered, wiping henna from her fingers. He looked stunned. "You're Brow Auntie." She laughed. "Guilty." He held out a card. "Arjun Mayer. I'm a photographer. National Geographic, mostly. I'm doing a story on immigrant women over 50 who reinvented themselves in New York. Someone sent me your TikTok." Sarita had 1.2 million followers by then. She still thought of it as a silly game. "I don't know," she said. "I'm very busy." "Please," he said quietly. "Your story matters." Something in his voice made her say yes. They met the next day at a diner on Broadway. He ordered coffee, she ordered chai and told him everything, almost everything. She left out the part about stealing another woman's passport. Some truths are too sharp for daylight. When she finished, Arjun was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Sarita, you're the bravest person I've ever interviewed." She felt her cheeks burn. No one had ever called her brave. The story came out 6 months later, a 12-page spread titled The Light She Carried. The photograph on the opening page showed Sarita in her red coat, standing under the 7 train at sunset, eyes shining like she owned the whole city. The article went viral. Oprah's people called. A publisher offered a